Hey, welcome back everybody to my advanced programming course using C++. Today I'm going to continue on with pointers, and we're going to talk about accessing arrays. So in the last lecture, we actually used the array variable as a pointer to go through the values of an array. In this lecture, I'm actually going to go a little bit deeper and have pointers be the focal point of iterating through an array, and then I'll talk about dynamic memory allocation and just initializing pointer variables as well. Okay, so if we look at our previous example, we have a numbers array, but there's something a bit different here. What's different here is that, one, I changed the data type to int, so in the other video, it was a short. We also declared a pointer variable, right? With the indirection operator, we indicate that this is a pointer to an integer, right? We talked about how to assign a pointer to an address, so we did that on line 8. And now I am going to use this pointer variable to go through and iterate through my numbers array. But before I do that, before I go in a for loop, I just want to show you what's actually happening here. So if I want to access this element, right? Remember I told you that now array pointer is an address, right? So if I add 0 to it, the element at that index, right? If I have that address and I add 0 to it, it's going to stay here in this address here. By using the indirection operator, I'm able to get the value of the contents of this address. So if I run this, I get the value 10. Now that's different from me doing this, right? So if I do that, I'm getting the address, which is that. That's not really what we want. We want actually the value. So when we want to point to the value, we want to use the indirection operator. Okay. Now a couple things I want to show you here so that you are straight and I can explain this real clearly so that there are no questions later on. Okay. So here we have an array of 5, right? And instead of indexes, now I'm going to start using address values. I think it's easier to explain it that way. So let's say this is 0x1a, x1b, x1c, xd, and e. Okay. So when I declare my pointer array, I mean my integer pointer, which is, so this represents numbers, right? We talked about that last time, that the value of numbers, if I were to just print it out to output or just kind of access it using my my variable name, the value that it represents is this here, right? It's the address. So by me doing this line here, what I'm doing is, one, I have my ARR pointer, and now this is the contents of ARR pointer is the address of numbers, starting address, right? So every array, when you access it as a variable name, it's going to have the starting address always. Now, if I wanted the contents of it, then the contents of that, I would have to say indirection ARR. By me doing that, the contents of that is 10, right? If I did ARR plus 1, right? ARR plus 1 is actually this, right? So the contents is x01b, and if I wanted the value, okay, I would say ARRPTR plus 1 indirection operator, and that value is 20. So you see where I'm going with this, right? As I want to iterate through each one, I need to add one more. So this is plus 1, right? So we just talked about here. It's plus 0, right? This would be plus 2, plus 3, and plus 4. So having said that, now I can understand on how to set up my loop, right? Where the size is going to be 5, and then instead of adding the literal number, I'm going to add I as it goes through. So let's take a look real quick. So I'm going to do this, comment this out. So for int I is equal to 0, I is less than 5, I plus plus. If I did cout indirection ARPTR plus I, std and L. That's exactly what I'm doing with this loop. I start at 0, and I go all the way up to 5, and then I keep adding to the address of that. And because of this indirection pointer, I'm actually getting the contents of it. So if I run that, see I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So let me show you what I did here. Okay, so we'll take this again. We can go over it on the board. I'm actually going to create a new whiteboard. Do this. All right, so we have our array. 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50, right? x01, x02, x03, x04, and x05. Make it easier. For loop starts, okay, and well, first of all, this is how I'm saying, hey, I want to start pointing to this. So if we have that, the contents of ARRPTR is going to be x01, right? Meaning that it's pointing to that address. Now, I want to go here, 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 here in a loop, and that's what I'm actually doing with the for loop. So when we have an I here, when I is equal to 0, right? Then ARRPTR contents is 0, 1, right? Indirection pointer of ARRPTR is 10. So what am I doing? I'm adding this plus this, right, over here on the first iteration. So we stay there and we print this out. Print this value. Go up to the loop, I becomes 1, right? Now, in this is a little bit, I know it's going to take a little bit of understanding, but we're not changing the contents of ARRPTR. The contents of ARRPTR is always going to be x01. So I want to kind of clarify that. What we're actually doing is we are going to use the original value of ARPTR and then add it to I, so that this is x01 plus 1, right? And then what's x01 plus 1? So it's plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4. Well, x01 plus 1, we know that it is 20, and we print that out, right? Then when I becomes 2, this is x0, 1 plus 2. Right? So that's, again, we're not changing the value of our ARR pointer. Okay, we're just addressing it as plus 2. So we're now here, and this is 30. Okay, then I becomes 3. x0, 1 plus 3 is this. And this is 40. And then x0, 1 plus 4. That's the fourth iteration, right? And that's 50. And that's how we loop through. Now notice I'm not changing the value of ARPTR. After this loop, ARRPTR will still remain x0, 1. Okay, it's going to remain x0, 1. Cool. So on the next video, I am going to talk about more of this array manipulation, and we'll start with how do we initialize a pointer. And we'll also discuss how to compare the values in an array using a pointer. Okay? So I hope to see you in the next video.